Hello, church, and welcome to the Midweek Pastor's Update for Wednesday, December 30th, 2020. Wow, this year is almost over. I gotta say, though, over the last week, all of these live worship gatherings that we've been able to have, all of which were outside, were just so wonderful, such a meaningful reconnection with so many of you. So I hope that those that were able to attend felt the same way. Talking to you, it was obvious. And then even just by watching the videos, I hope you were able to experience that sense of community that we have all so longed for. And, that I hope we're able to create still, just with doing this type of thing, even just the updates or just the ways that we can try to stay connected. It's not the same. We all know that. I got a sweet email from one of our church members. It's just like, this is the hardest time for those of us who describe ourselves as huggers, right? Because it's just, there's a select few with whom we can do that right now. I also want to say that there were a number of you who approached me in the wake of these services and were asking, when is it that we can get back together? When can we meet once again as a gathered worship community? And my response was to them, and remains today, that we are choosing to only meet virtually at this time because we think it's the right thing to do. We know that we could open our doors and host a gathered community on Sundays. But I feel that would be an irresponsible choice. That so long as we are in this lockdown phase, so long as our hospitals are just so inundated and overwhelmed and overworked, that the ICU beds are so limited, it's just not the right time. It's just not the right message. It's not the right thing to do. So when that is lifted, when that lockdown is lifted, when we even go into that more the purple tier of our response to in the coronavirus protocols, that's when we can go back in. We'll go into the sanctuary. We'll meet at 20%. We'll do what we have to do. Or if it takes a longer time, then when the weather is a little bit easier to play guitar and be outside with one another, we will look for creative ways to maybe have singular worship services coming up. We're looking at all of that, but just wanted to reiterate that we all long for reconnection. We all want things to go back to some measure of normalcy, and it's just not the right time yet. So on top of that, I just find myself, probably like many of you, filled with a lot of the reflections and thoughts just for what this last year has meant. Our lives have been changed permanently. Many of us because the loss of someone we love, maybe the loss of a job, maybe actually the loss of a job coupled with the discovery of something else, the calling out of creative resources that then land us in a totally different space that opens up new possibilities. The change in our daily routines, the change in school, all that, so many things are just, they're going to remain this way for a time. But as I said in my crossword article for this January, let's resist the temptation to just sort of say, oh my gosh, it's almost done. Can't wait to just throw it all out and move into something new, because it moves us to this place. If we do that, we forget the lessons. We forget what this year has taught us. And there's been a lot of great stuff too. There's been a lot of powerful messages that have come through this. The ways that we have developed our own internal capacities as individuals, as families, even as neighborhoods, as communities, to be connected, to be effective in the world, for the sake of good, for the sake of love. These are important things. Let's not lose those. But also, I don't want to leap into 2021 with this feeling like, oh, everything's going to be great once 2021 hits, because it's still it's a long haul here, folks. There's nothing magic about the changing of a calendar year. Psychologically, emotionally, spiritually speaking, yes. But let's commit to continuing to do those simple, unexciting, but so meaningful, so powerful, so effective things that we've been doing, with an eye towards when we will be able to then move beyond this way we've been made to be this past year, and to kind of trust that it's going to get us to that place of reconnection, of physical proximity, of being able to hug the people we love, be they the ones that are in our immediate family that we see every day, or the ones that we only see once a week or even less. I think a lot of us have this sense that we're close. We're close as a nation to kind of coming to the crest and seeing the light, seeing the promised land. But it doesn't happen if we lose our sense of participation in that we have a part to play, and we see the promised land. We enter that promised land of health and wholeness as a community when we each take it seriously and we do what's necessary. It's hard these days because there's so much information out there. I talk to so many people that have such different ideas as to what that looks like. So all I'll say here is that we find the voices and the sources that provide us the best of the information that we need. And then that information is just one part, that we carry it forward, and we commit ourselves to walking into a new year as responsibly as possible, as individuals, as a community, as a church. And that brings me back then to the worship. Our choosing not to meet is a way of being what I feel is responsible. It's hard, believe me. This isn't my preferred way, but I have an eye on that day when we do get back together on a more consistent basis. I can't wait for that day. I hope it happens very soon, and that I will continue to keep an eye on it, to work towards it, to get creative, to provide opportunities that keep us connected. This is important. I look forward to that time when we can do it. So, as we enter the new year then, in this sense of being on that threshold, tomorrow being New Year's Eve, I found this beautiful poem by an author, a writer, a poet named Jan Richardson. It's called At the Threshold, and I found that it just sort of speaks to where I am, and I think it may speak to where a lot of you are as we are almost to 2021. And so we take the ragged fragments, the patches of darkness that give shape to the light, the scraps of desires unslaked or realized, the memories of spaces of blessing, of pain. And so we gather the scattered pieces, the hopes we carry, fractured or whole, the struggles of birthing, exhausted, elated, the places of welcome that bring healing and life. And so we lay them at the threshold, God. Bid that you hold them, bless them, use them as you tend them, mend them, transform them to keep us warm, make us whole, and send us forth. God, may we enter this new year with a spirit of being sent forth as agents of your love, your compassion for all people. May we make this world and our reality a better place this year. Friends, I look forward to being on that walk with each one of you in whatever ways we can be. May the beginnings of 2021 find you blessed and in the peace of Christ.